Friends, welcome back. I am Jason. Let's discuss an EDC, how my EDC has changed, how it has evolved over the years, and how it's possibly stayed exactly the same. This, friends, is my original On3 EDC made by Bear Forest Knives. It's a knife of my design, made to be a knife that's big enough to do all the knife jobs, but small enough to not be a burden, and you don't really even notice that you're carrying it around. That was my goal. Put it on my hip. I wear it on in a Kydex sheath on a tech lock. This is the original sheath. This is the original knife. I've done nothing but sharpen it from time to time. Really not even that often. It probably needs a little bit of work right now. It's a ball-bearing steel 52100, and it holds an edge pretty well. I don't have to sharpen it very often, and I really abuse this thing. I use it for a lot of things that you would never, knives were not intended to be used for, like a screwdriver, for example. Open a can of paint, that kind of stuff. But anyway, I have been carrying this knife for years now. 4 years maybe? I'm not even sure, to be honest with you. It's been a daily companion for a long time, and it has served all of the purposes that I needed a knife for. It gets the job done, like I said. Here is my brand new one. This is the brand new On3 EDC. The design has evolved slightly, just ever so slightly. Not a lot of drastic changes, but just small little various changes in dimensions and things of that nature. Still 52100 steel, still a convex edge, all that good stuff. Pretty much exactly the same thing for all intents and purposes still. I have mine in a Kydex sheath, but they'll come in a leather sheath. I love leather. I love the idea of a leather sheath. I love the style. I love the nostalgia of a leather sheath. I like the way it feels and looks, and I enjoy that. However, for my activities that I engage in on a regular basis and the climate that I live in, Kydex is just superior. That's just my opinion. Some people's opinions vary, and that's fine. You do you. But the security that I get from a Kydex sheath, that thing is not coming out of there until I yank on it, until I really give it a pull, It's not going to fall out on me, no matter if I'm rolling around, wrestling with the kids and all that kind of stuff. Nothing wrong with leather if that's your thing. But once it gets wet, it rains a lot here in the summertime. I'm sweaty all the time. I'm running, I'm jumping, I'm exercising. I don't like to take it off if I don't have to. The Kydex sheaths are easy to make yourself. So if you ordered one of my knives from Bear Forest Knives, it would come with a leather sheath. But if you wanted to get a Kydex sheath for it, they're pretty easy to make. Not that difficult at all. I make mine in a toaster oven. So that's pretty easy to do, and it's easy to attach tech locks to them. I'm going to switch over to this one, carrying it pretty soon. I just got to get another tech lock so I can carry the new and improved version of the On3 EDC right there. I put a nice mustard patina, forced patina on that edge right there on the blade, and I think it just looks kind of cool. Gives it that really cool tiger stripe design. The Bic Lighter, friends. It's hard to beat the Bic Lighter. I used to carry my Bic Lighter in a waterproof fire sleeve made by Exotac. I'll grab it. Boom, right there. These things are fantastic because, like I said, they are waterproof. You could throw it in the water. It's not going to get wet. It'll still work no matter what. And they're kind of grippy, tacky, so it's not going to slip out of your pocket like a slick Bic would potentially slip out of your pocket when you're laying down and whatever, But I solved that problem by putting just a Ranger band, a big rubber band piece of inner tube around my Bic Lighter, and that serves two purposes. Like I said, it's a little bit tacky, keeps it from falling out of your pocket accidentally, and it also allows you to take that thing off of there, and then you can maybe take it off of there, and then you can use that as a flame extender so you don't use up all of the fuel in your lighter. Each day, by the way, when I put this in my pocket, I give it a little shake, make sure it's still got enough fluid in there. But you can light a little bit of that rubber on fire so you don't use up all of your fuel in your lighter, and then put this underneath your tinder, underneath your kindling that you've collected, and then you've got yourself a fire. So for emergency purposes or just convenient purposes in a wet conditions, if I'm trying to burn a brush pile or something like that and or some scrap wood from a construction job or something that I've been working on, this is an easy way to get that done. And I can just light this up, stick it under there, and then go about whatever else I'm doing. I don't have to babysit that fire to keep it going. So for that reason, that's why I carry a Bic lighter and with this little rubber band around there. But a Bic lighter is just the easiest, most convenient, most efficient, almost guaranteed way of starting a fire. I like ferro rods, and I have backup means of fire starting on me, which we'll get to in a minute. But I have not found anything to beat the Bic lighter. Let me know if your experiences have led you to do something a little bit different. But I have still found this thing to be ultra reliable. I always remove the child safety deal off of there to make it easier to use. But other than that, the good old trusty disposable Bic lighter is hard to beat. This is my Nitecore MT1A Pro. Hopefully you can see that right there. MT1A Pro from Nitecore. I have started carrying this flashlight probably about a year ago, I would say, and I've really enjoyed it so far. So far, it has been fantastic. It's been reliable. It works quite well, and the best thing about it is it's rechargeable. I just pop this battery out right there. It's a USB-C port right there on the battery itself. I charge that up in my truck or whatever, and then juiced up, and then I'm back in action. But I could also just remove that and put just a regular AA battery. And for that reason, I really like it. I don't want just a rechargeable light. I want to be able to use regular batteries too, for just reliability and convenience sake. But this flashlight is super bright, extra bright. It's got 3 modes on it. Generally speaking, I don't like flashlights that have a bunch of settings. I don't want to have to push buttons and hold things and click things 3 times. I just want it to come on and go off when I click a button. And this one pretty much does that. It stays on the last setting. That if you had it on the brightest setting, it's on and off. If you had it in the lowest setting, it's on, off. It comes on the lowest setting. And it's pretty easy to change them from high, medium, and low. Low to save the battery, of course. And the bright one is really bright. I was carrying around a AAA smaller flashlight, and I liked it because it was so dang small and convenient to carry. But the battery just didn't last as long, and it wasn't nearly as bright. And so for that reason, I switched over to a AA size battery, and this Nitecore MT1A Pro has been pretty dang fantastic. I never carried a flashlight most of my life, I would say, up until about, say, 10 years ago, give or take. I never carried one. And I thought, why do I need to carry a flashlight with me all the time? I got one in my truck or whatever. But once I started carrying one, I realized how dang handy it was. I'm always using this flashlight. I use this thing all the time, just as much as my knife, maybe more some days. And it's just really convenient to have a flashlight to be looking in dark places for whatever it is you're doing. You know how it is. You drop something down in a hole or in the engine compartment of your truck or whatever, a dark room. It's very handy to have a flashlight on you. My wallet. This thing is made from an old couch. Some of you have seen this before. Some of you haven't. I was in the desert one day and I was out exploring some wild places, some new locations, and somebody dumped off an old couch in the desert. And I thought, man, that is such what an a-hole to just dump that off in the wilderness, trash up the place. 2, what a waste of a resource. So I didn't haul off the couch. I left it there, but I did cut the entire back of the couch, the big, huge chunks of leather off of there. And I used one of those pieces of leather to make myself a wallet. I've been carrying this thing for at least 15 years, I'd say. I'm not exactly sure, but the same wallet that I hand-stitched from an old couch I found in the desert has been going strong. And I just carry the essentials in there. A couple of different cards, credit card kind of deals. I've got my ID, hunting license, and that's essentially it. Insurance card, maybe. And that's pretty much it. I don't carry around a whole bunch of stuff, but I also, in addition to this, I have cash money, because cash gets the job done when your card won't. Because if power's out or just machines are down or whatever, who knows why it won't work. Sometimes the chip on the card will go bad or whatever, and it doesn't read, it's not working, and then cash is king again suddenly. So I always carry some cash on me, and it has gotten me out of some tight spots. I usually keep some tucked in my wallet, might have some in my pocket, and then I always keep some in my belt, which we haven't gotten to yet, but we'll get there in just a second. So cash has definitely saved my bacon a couple of times, and it is just really nice to be able to solve problems with that right there. So around my neck, I have taken to wearing a bandana, you know, just kind of a standard size bandana right there. My On3 logo on there, of course. But this thing is super handy, and if I don't have this around my neck, I've got it tucked in my back pocket, generally speaking. And it's just handy to have a bandana. I haven't always carried one, but I've definitely been carrying one around with me for the past year or so. Pretty consistent, you know, either around my neck or in my pocket, like I said, because you can just use it for so many things. It keeps the sun off of your neck, keeps you from becoming a redneck, you know. Nobody wants that. And at least don't want to be more of a redneck than you already are. And, you know, you wet it down in the summertime and cool yourself off, tie it around your neck, and just have yourself a little swamp cooler that you can wear. You know, wipe your greasy hands, your greasy mitts off from doing something. You reach in the fire to get a hot pot out of there without burning yourself. A makeshift bandage, tourniquet, all sorts of things that you can do with a bandana. And it's just about as handy as a hanky right there. So I enjoy carrying this bandana right there, and I'm going to continue to do so. Now my belt here is a Wazoo Cache Belt right there, and in this belt, I'm not going to bore you with all of the details, but I have a whole lot of stuff. It's essentially a survival kit that you can wear, and like my On3 EDC, it's not a burden. It's something that I have on all the time, and just in case, I can pull from this thing and I can utilize it and save the day. And I've used it so many times in real life situations, not necessarily live or die survival type situations, but it has saved the day as far as major inconveniences. Like, for example, I keep cash money in here. And I have used that money on multiple occasions for various things. You know, one time I forgot my wallet at home, wasn't in my pocket, went out to eat, couldn't pay the bill because I didn't have my wallet. But then I thought, oh yeah, I've got a couple $100 in my belt. So I paid the bill, went on my merry way, no problems, you know, inconvenient stuff. Saved me from having to stick around and wash the dishes. I used my belt one time. I saved a 5-year-old's birthday party. Everybody at the party, not a single person had a lighter, including me. I did not have my lighter, but I had this belt on. So I pulled out my little fire starter, a small little ferro rod and striker, and a small little tinder plug, fire plug. And I was able to light the birthday candles with the contents of my belt right here. I've used a water kit and water purification tablets in here multiple times. The compass, the button compass that I keep in here for navigation, just basic which way's west kind of navigation. I have used it so many times, and I keep it right here in the front so it's easy access and I can just grab it and navigate my way around. Even in urban areas, I've used it in urban areas quite a few times. You're like, ah, crap, which way's the museum? Ah, geez, head west on whatever something street, which way's west? That is how you can do it. And it has been fantastic. A bottle opener, you know? So, you know, for that reason, like I said, it's a survival kit that you can wear, and it's not a burden. You just don't even know you got it on. It's your belt, holds up your pants. Now, as far as protection goes, I do oftentimes, I would say 75% of the time, have a concealed carry. A G43 is what I switched to instead of a 19. The 19 is great. Love it. Absolutely love it. It's probably my favorite pistol, but it is a little bit bigger, a little bit bulkier, heavier for sure than the 43. Capacity is significantly less, of course, but I found that I was taking off the 19 and putting it aside, leaving it in the vehicle because it was a burden, it was cumbersome, and I was having to bend over a lot. I was having to be active, and it just wasn't convenient to be wearing it. I know that a 43 only holds 6 rounds in a magazine, but 6 rounds is a whole lot better than 0 rounds. And I don't take it off nearly as often because it's much more comfortable. It's so light, you hardly even notice it, and that's why I switched to that. But that's just me, guys. I want to know what your EDC is. I want to know some things that have evolved, some changes specifically. Let me know, you know, if something that you've changed. I went from a AAA battery flashlight to a AA for specific reasons, which I listed before. I want to know how your EDC has evolved and changed over the last year. Let me know that in the comment section because it really boosts the videos. It helps them out a lot when guys start getting in there and engaging. So I'd be really grateful for it. And in the first 24, 48 hours, I get in there in the comment section as well. So I'd be happy to discuss some of those things with you guys. Let me know what you think about my EDC. What am I missing? What am I doing wrong? Why am I a bonehead? Let me know. Honest feedback is always appreciated. Links in the comment section of ways you can help support the channel. Patreon is around now. We've got Substack. We're doing all the things. Thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And until next time, friends, what's the worst that could happen? Let's just go on 3.